Welcome back. Today we're going to continue working on our little shader playground. And in the last video we added hot reloading. And in this video I think I want to add control of uniform values. So, for example, we try to run it. Here we have it. We can put it over there. And we can go in here and select shader code. And then we can change things. However, we might also be interested in uniform values. So I think this is the syntax. Let's say we want to control this blue value from the outside. So like that. Right now nothing changed because it's probably just being interpreted as 0. So what if we put it here? We should see that it changes. So now there's no more in the red channel. But let's put it here. So what I would like is for us to be able to add some like controls here dynamically. So there should be a button that is like add a new dynamic control, and you will give it the name and maybe a type. So to begin with, we'll just support floats, and then maybe a range. We'll give it a range when it's a float. Something like that, I think. Yeah, it's a bit tricky if you think about how to support other types like matrices or vectors, but let's start with floats. So the first thing I want to experiment with, I guess, is when you want to add a new control, there's like a lot of things. You have to select the type, you have to give a name and minimum maximum values and so on, like we just talked about. But that's a lot to have in like the same window. So how about if we try to make a second panel? So does that, or maybe it's called a window. Builder for a floating window, which can be drag, collapse, close, collapse, resized, or scrolled. So I think that makes a lot of sense. We can say a new add dynamic. Let's say add uniform control, and it has a show. What does the show take? It probably just takes a context. Okay, we give it the context, and then it takes the function that draws it. Right, and in here, let's just try to put a label that says just whatever. So let's run that. Now we have this window that we can drag around inside the application. That's kind of interesting. So let's add some stuff there. I think there is something called text box, which I was wrong about, but we can go check the demos here. So we have a text edit, which is inside of widgets. Okay, so can we do it here? No. Maybe it's add and then equally widgets, widget text, text edit, and can we just do a single line? Is this gonna work? And we need some buffer to write into. Okay, so maybe we just have something here. Probably you shouldn't allocate a new string every every frame, but let's just see if this works at all. Okay, and we can write stuff, and as you see, it kind of like empties it all the time. That's fine. Okay. Now, since we're typing things in, we should make sure that this doesn't happen if we have this window open. So let's do a couple of things. Let's go up to the app and let's say, what should we call it? Let's call it add uniform open, which is a Boolean, and let's say uniform name. That's going to be a string, and let's add those here. And then this guy, it will not refer to something that's that is allocated for frame, but it will refer to this thing. We have kind of that buffer there. It's not open to begin with, and we can say, since we're testing it, let's say it is open to begin with, and this is just going to be a new string. All right, and now here we should say and not this one open. Now if we run it, let's see what happens. It starts out as being open. There is this text field. We can type things. We can even type Q. And that's great. So let's actually say like horizontal UI, and we're gonna add a heading. That's gonna be uniform name. How does that look? Uniform name, and then we can just type it back. Great. And then we do a bunch of those, and there should be uniform type, but actually that should only be one of some predefined values. So maybe we can check out this example here. There should be the combo box we should be able to use, which is in a container. We do something like this. Okay, very interesting. And let's go ahead and get rid of that. Okay. Maybe we don't need the heading, so let's say just the uniform type. What is this selected? Maybe that's just a... No, it can be an enum. Okay, so we can actually make an enum that is like a uniform type, which can be float, or it can be, let's say, int. We only have two. Here we'll say uniform type, float, int. Uniform type, int. What is the selected? That is going to be a field, and that field will be selected. Let's call it uniform type. Actually, let's be a little bit explicit, and then we can change this to select uniform type and selected uniform type. Okay, let's format it, and this guy does not implement debug, and here we can say select the uniform type. It's just going to be uniform type float. Why not? And it has to be equatable. Okay, let's run that. So that's a little bit annoying that we can change this, and let's select the text from label. I wonder if there is something else. There's not. Okay. So let's just check it again. It's annoying that it's over there, but let's, in the example, I feel like it was take your pick. Okay, so really maybe we just want to not have this label. So can we say from ID salt? So maybe like this. This is the text, and then we want to add also a heading that is a uniform type. Now it looks a little bit more like the other one. So what do we have besides the uniform type? We have the range. So let's do the same pattern, horizontal, UI heading, minimum value. This will probably depend on like this won't be the same when we have a matrix, but whatever. So let's say uniform min value. It's going to be, we'll use a float even for integers just to make it simple. So we can add a slider clamping. Okay, slider, and we can say new, and it needs a range. So what would the range be for the values? Maybe I'm going to hard code it as this. Maybe even just like it's fine. All right, and it needs 2 arguments because it also needs to know what the value is. So it's going to be self uniform value, and we can do the same thing one more time. Max. All right, let's just check it out. It did not compile because we need to add them here. Uniform min value, that's 0 and 0. All right, now we have those. We can change them, and they kind of snap to every fifth, which is not what I would like. I think you can add some stuff. Smart aim default is on, so maybe we'll turn this one off. Smart aim false. Aim false. All right. And now you can tune it very precisely. All right. And really, the max value should always be equal to or greater than the minimum value. So we can even put the minimum value there. It's probably going to look a little bit weird, but let's just try. So yeah, you see it's doing this kind of, so let's not do that because the behavior is a little bit weird. But okay, now we have this stuff, Then we kind of want a button. Add control. And if that is clicked, we want to do some stuff. Actually, before we go on, let's say if self.add uniform open. That is the case where we have all this stuff. Okay, so what happens if we click the button? Then we need probably like want a list of controls. So maybe let's make a struct for that. Uniform control. It's gonna have a name, and it's actually gonna have all of this stuff, I suppose. So type, uniform type. Let's call it type. Okay, and it's gonna have a minimum value, a max value, and that's it. And here we'll actually like want a vector of these guys, vector of uniform controls, and we can add those here. Uniform controls is just like a new vector. Okay. So what we want to do is when we click the add button, we're going to construct one of these types, uniform control, and we'll have the name that's going to be self.uniform name. We're going to clone that. Then we need the minimum value, self.uniform minimum value, max value, self.uniform max value, and we need the type. That's going to be self.selected uniform type, and this type should be copyable. So we'll make it copyable like that. And go back down here. What we're going to do is we're going to say self.uniform controls.push control. Then we're going to clear the name. Clear. It does not touch its capacity. That's great. And self.minimum value will reset everything. Reset that stuff. And maybe even the selected type, we can set that to uniform type float. Kind of reset that as well. And of course, finally, no, not add uniform open. We're gonna make that false. So we're gonna run that. We can say test. The minimum value is whatever, and then we click add. So nothing happens because we're not actually displaying the uniform controls yet in any way. But so far so good. Let's add another button, which we will call add uniform control. And if that's clicked, we're simply going to say add uniform open is equal to true. And I will put this here before the other button. This button might go away. Probably will go away at some point, but not right now. All right, so now we can create uniforms. Now we need to display them. I think I would like the buttons to be kind of, if we run the application, I think I want the buttons to be like over here. And then most of this space over here should be dedicated to the uniform controls. Maybe we can even make some space over here. Maybe that's even better for the uniform controls. Yeah, I think I like that idea more, so let's try to do that. That means that when we make this guy, we have to say, actually, let's not use all the space there. Let's see what that does to the layout. Okay. So that's fine. And now we want to kind of, I guess, make a horizontal layout here, where let's just for testing purposes, let's add like a heading here to see that it comes up in the right place. Okay, so that's a bit unfortunate. I guess what we should really do then is not this. Horizontal. Can we say like horizontal with size? No. No. Okay, now I don't know what to do. Because the problem is doing it this way. Maybe what we can do is we can give it the size as an argument, like that. Then, okay, maybe there's something here we can also do, but let's give it the available size, which is a vector 2. So size, or let's call it available size. Then we don't need that. And now we can say UI horizontal, I think. Okay, that's a little bit more like it. And what happens now? I actually want to say that it is not open by default. Let's get rid of that. What happens if we add more? They get laid out like this next to each other. That's not what we want. So this should be a vertical layout. Maybe. That's more right. Okay, so this is basically the layout we want. Maybe we should start making the initial size bigger. I think I'd like that. So maybe not 500, maybe just 800 by 800. All right. So what do we want instead of controls? We actually want to say for control in self.uniform controls. We want to do some stuff. So we can say UI label. Maybe yeah, let's try a label just to make it not so big. Name, and I do believe it has to be. It can be a reference like that. Let's try that. Okay, there's nothing now, of course. So we had a test. Oh, we have a test. We had test 2, test 3, whatever. Okay, great. So we can add different controls here. And let's now add a slider. Why not? GUI slider, new, and what is going to be the number? So maybe even here in the controls, we want to also have like actually the value. And lost my place. Then this actually has to be immutable. thing, because then we want to say, go ahead and try to change this value, and the range is going to be control the minimum value to control dot maximum value. Let's see if that works. It did not work because, of course, when we create it here, we also need to say the actual value is maybe just, let's set it to the minimum value. Minimum value. Okay, great. So we can add a test, something like that. And now we can change it between the two values that it chose. Great stuff. And then we actually have to react to these being changed. So I wonder if we can say there is something on the slider. You know what? Maybe we just let's keep it simple. Let's add a button here that says apply. Although it's a bit annoying. Maybe we can also say like and not self dot add uniform open and a UI dot input I key released key A. Why not? Okay, so if the button is clicked, not and, but like or, we press the A key, then we do some stuff, which is we will just like basically we have to loop through the controls. Self the uniform controls, and we have to say like applying value something to uniform something. It's just a dummy, of course, a placeholder code. All right, so now we can say test 2. Now we can say apply, and it will say this stuff. We can change it, and it will change the values. So that's good stuff. But what do we actually need to do? We need to somehow set these uniform values. So we have this thing, which is an arc. So maybe we can say as ref. No, that doesn't really work. Maybe we can do it on the shader. So set the shader. We can log and we can say program. Guess we cannot access the program. Maybe it's let's actually, before we go into all that, let's try here to make a function that is like set uniform value. So for now we'll just take might need the context, but for now we'll just take a reference to self, and maybe it should return a result, but let's actually do that. Let's do it for now because we want to really be good at reporting errors. So we're going to return this, and let's add it to do fix the complaints. So what I would like to do is say program uniform set uniform value. No, that's just my function. What can we do with this guy? So we have a program. Which who knows what it can do. Create frame buffer, create name frame buffer, create program. Okay, so there's something like program uniform. But I feel like program, it didn't come up when we, maybe you have to do this, uniform. What is this thing? Who knows? Where are these functions defined? Maybe it's like this, uniform. Let me actually look up an example. Okay, let's try something. So you need to import this trait apparently, and then we can try this, get uniform location. So we need the program, which we have here, and we need the name. So what is the name? It's a string, so we can say like, well, we did put something in there, right? We put this, so we can say B. All right, it's unsafe, whatever. Sorry, unsafe. So what does this return? It returns the possibility of a location. So we're gonna say let location, it's going to be this. It's going to be okay or else. What's the difference? Let's try or. So we need some type. Okay or uniform could not be found. Okay, so string. And then we unwrap that. Great, so now we have the location, and then I think we can set the location. So uniform, we have 1, and it's a float. So actually, since it's only supporting float 32, I think it makes sense to change this to something else. Like that. Okay. What does this do? It takes a location and a value, so we can give the location and the value. How about 1 for now? Arguments are incorrect. It needs an option. That's kind of bizarre, but okay. So we'll do it like this. Not okay, sorry, some. And it has to be an option of a reference. Even more bizarre. Okay. So we set that, and that should be it. And we just return okay. Great. Now we need to call this, and we can do that in the apply. And here we can say not really. We are not really doing it yet, but we'll say shader. Let's get the lock and set uniform value. And what does it take? It takes the context. So we have to provide that. And like this. And this could return an error. So we'll say if let error message this, we're going to report that error. All right. Let's give that a try. And what should happen now is just that when we click apply, it should change the blue channel to be equal to 1. So that did not work. And why didn't that work? If apply is clicked. And we didn't report anything, so I'm going to also say applied uniform. So it thinks it has applied things, but nothing really happened. So there's no error, and presumably this also worked. We have B, B, B. Let's try. No, this doesn't make any sense. So do we have to do something after this? What's this supposed to do? There's no explanation. Uniform. Let out call it on point argument. GL uniform, whatever. Okay, so that looks correct. That is kind of calling that. 32, great stuff. And I wonder. Maybe just print some stuff. So it says it's 0. We can try something. We can try to make another one. Let's go C or whatever. Can you change anything? Okay, so I found this example. Let's try to actually use an example instead of making it ourselves. So it's unsafe as well. So let's put it into the unsafe block. Get uniform location. We do have that. The program is going to be self.program. The name is going to be B, and that's fine. This stuff uniform. It's basically what we did, I feel like. All right, whatever. This doesn't really return anything, so was I missing a... Okay, yeah. And what's the value? The value is 1. So let's try that. Still nothing happened. Is there a bug in the shader code? No. Okay, I think I discovered the issue. You probably have to say use program. And that's also unsafe. Everything is unsafe. And it also takes, it's bizarre that everything takes an option, but okay. So we have to enable the program and then do this stuff. Let's try that. Still did not work. I don't think I changed anything. So I guess maybe I just forgot to save. But now it works. It has that little update. It has like some unfortunate behavior there, where no, I do this, and now it doesn't do it. Okay, weird. Doesn't like work straight away necessarily. And why is that? Why is that? It's probably the hot reload that has some issue with that. What does this actually do? Restarts the shader, but the file hasn't changed, so it really shouldn't do anything. I've tested a couple of times to see if it's like consistently. No. Okay, I don't know. I'm not going to worry about that right now. Let's try to proceed with the work. Okay, so now we have the controls. We need to apply all of these. So basically we need to do this, but inside the loop. And this function should now take a name and a value. And in principle also the type. So uniform type. This doesn't work. This is not here, so we have to kind of import it. Uniform type. Right, there we go. So let's fix up this function. Instead of this arbitrary name, we're going to say just the name and the value. We are not going to use the type right now, but we will at some point. This can just be something we copy. And here we go. Okay. So we need to set the name of the control by reference and then the value. And then we need the type as well. Important to remember. And there we go. So now we have the B value. Let's try to run it here. Now nothing should happen because we don't have any controls, but we can go ahead and say B value. It's a float and want to change it between 0 and 1. So let's add that. If we apply now, nothing should change. And if we make it a little bit blue, it becomes a little bit blue, and we can change it dynamically like this. And we can also just press A. If we think it takes too long, we go and click the button. So that is pretty cool, my friend. Pretty cool. Because we can go ahead and add any kind of thing we want, not test, but run. Right. So maybe we want to at some point actually save these configurations. If you want to like work on some project over many days. But I think we could even like say, let's add another float, which will be the red value. And then we could say, okay, actually here, let's use the red value for the red. And this one will just be Y. So now it's all green because these uniforms are 0 by default. But then we can say, okay, I also want the red value. And add that here. So let's get a lot of blue, only a little bit of red. Then we can, okay, maybe no blue. So you can see we can kind of change what we display, and it's fully dynamic. We don't have to restart the program. We can add another one. We can add another one like this. Green value. Don't do anything. we don't restart the program. I mean, just works. So now something like this, we can kind of even like we've made some kind of overcomplicated color pick at this point. But there you have it. Change it back. Okay, maybe we like this version better. It's fully dynamic. We don't have to do anything, and we can show that we can have them side by side, right? And it should change automatically after a little bit of time. And we can change the red value very easily. Unfortunately, there's no way to control these things using, well, not right now, but maybe that's something you could add. Okay, we can do this. So we actually never have to take our hands off the keyboard, which we like because we are Vim users. It's not super fast. The scroll speed, maybe there's a way to make it faster, but I cannot make it faster right now. But there you have it. We have dynamic control of uniform values. And I think that's going to do it for this video. So I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.